People will think, why did this person do this? Why do they think they can do this to me? Blah, blah, blah. No one cares about you. No one thinks that much into it. They're just being stupid. Don't blame them for being stupid. That's their problem. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel. My name is Tori and as you can see I am in my car. I came up with this series that I really wanted to start doing. I've been wanting to do something like this for a while, just advice or talking about my life experiences. Maybe this will be like a digital diary series, kind of like a Good Luck Charlie type of thing. Okay, so today's episode is going to be about how to stop overthinking or what to do when you catch yourself overthinking. And I'm not like a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, I'm not any of those things, just a person who has experienced a lot. I just wanted to share all the things that I think and all my mindsets and tips and tricks that I think of when I catch myself in these little ruts. I do think overthinking is a blessing and a curse at the same time. You really get into deep thought about things, but then sometimes you get into deep thought about the wrong things. But you just got to differentiate the two and kind of realize what you should be thinking into and what you shouldn't. So what is overthinking? By definition, according to GoodRx, overthinking is when you dwell on or worry about the same thing repeatedly, and that could either be anxiety symptoms or depression symptoms. Anxiety is when you're thinking about something in the future and repeatedly worrying about things that haven't happened yet. And then overthinking about stuff in the past is kind of what depression is really, because you're dwelling on what was, and it's just like constantly thinking about that. It's honestly literally just like overthinking about the future and then overthinking about the past is what anxiety and depression is in a nutshell. I also just wanted to talk about like my anxieties and what I've been overthinking to see what you guys can help me to think about. Growing up, I really didn't realize actually how powerful your brain is. Before, I never realized the importance of knowledge, and that sounds so stupid, but I didn't realize actually how important some certain phrases are to hear, because when you think of something and then you remember that really does do something in your head to make you think in a certain way. Imagine if you didn't know anything like that at all. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but whatever. Some of the most prevalent thoughts that I overthink are just about my own mortality, and I don't know if that's just because I've gotten older, but it really started after someone that was a prevalent person passed away in an accident. I've always had a phobia since I was younger just about, I guess, death. I don't know what it is. I've always been like that. I don't know if anyone has experienced that too, but I feel like I kind of grew out of it. But then once I heard about this person passing, it kind of shocked me, or kind of like flipped my world in a way that I had never thought of it before. Just that our lives really are fragile. So that's really something that I've been thinking about. Another thing is kind of just nostalgia and just looking back and realizing like, wow, I'm not going to be able to go back to what I had in the past or what I was in the past. And also just anxiety of getting older and being in your 20s, what life is going to be like. That's obviously something that's worrying me. But so now comes the time where I realized that I needed to do something to stop overthinking, because entertaining your thoughts is fun to a certain extent because it gets exhausting. There was a point where I realized I was like, I think about this way more than I should be thinking about this. It's okay to have these thoughts like once in a while. The problem is when it starts to rule your life and you constantly are worrying about it or thinking about it. That's when I feel like it's a problem. One of the things that I realized that I really needed to get help was I found myself really just getting deep into thought about like, what would happen if this happened, or my own mortality, really like just thinking about things that I really just did not need to think about, and in turn was really just making me freaked out and upset. That's when I was like, all right, I'm going to get some help, which is easier said than done. I know a lot of people, whether it's hard to get help, to access it, or you don't really want to, it's kind of something that's a little difficult. I definitely understand, but getting help doesn't even mean getting a therapist. It means talking to someone about it, talking to your friends, opening up to people around you, or it doesn't even have to be people around you. It can be anonymous. You can ask advice from people. I remember one of the things that when I was in high school and I really just did not know what to do, I was just so like down and sad. I had no one to talk to. I was stuck in my room because my parents they're pretty strict, so I wasn't really allowed to go hang out with friends all the time. So I was really kind of just like stuck by myself, and I couldn't really talk to my parents about things because they're fucking Filipino. Like, they don't understand what the hell I'm going through. So I like messaged depression hotlines and just things to get off my chest. I like have this problem, like I need to talk about it to someone, because after a while your thoughts really just become something that is awful. It's too much. Like I said, your brain is something that is so powerful. It's like almost scary. Just talking it out with friends are some of the ways that I figured out how I personally myself can get myself out of overthinking. I'm not saying that it's all going to work for you, but I'm going to say just keep these things in mind. Here are 7 things that I keep in mind or do to combat myself overthinking. Sorry, I have my little notes right here. But the first thing is I think of myself in the present moment. And that's meaning, what are you doing right now? Are you sitting down? Are you standing up? Are you in your house? Are you in bed? Are you whatever? If you're looking at yourself through a snow globe, are you okay? I'm okay right now. Whether something's happening in the future, something happened in the past, I am okay in this present moment. When I would think about my own mortality and accidents, the first thing I do when I catch myself thinking that is, where am I? I'm sitting here right now. I'm not in a car, or I am in a car, but I'm not in a moving car, which is funny. When I'm actually in a car and driving, my anxiety really isn't that bad. And it's really showing that it is my own head that's freaking out about things, because when I'm not in a car is when I'm freaked out the most, rather than when I am in a car driving. The second thing is I wanted to show this TikTok, and I'm probably just going to show it right now.
Why you're upset? Tell us.
Because, like, other animals than chickens and cow and pigs and other animals that can kill for food, I don't like that because I like nature.
Sweetheart.
Because nature is beautiful and animals are part of nature.
Clara, I will never make you eat an animal.
Okay, but I love bacon and chicken, so I can't decide if to never eat them again or eat them.
Clara, you have to decide right now.
You're only 5 3/4.
So you can decide on a daily basis. That's okay. Every day every meal you decide, okay?
So basically, that little girl is having a dilemma of eating animals or not. And then you can hear her parents saying you don't have to choose if you want to eat animals or not. Like, you can take it one day at a time, which I realized whenever you're overthinking things, it's really just because you're thinking that that's how it's going to be forever, if that makes sense. You really can take things one step at a time, one day at a time. I'm going to be honest, who says you're going to have tomorrow? So live literally 1 minute, 1 day, 1 hour at a time. Think of things as you go. When it comes to literally anything, when you're overthinking anything, it's because you are worried about this one thing being this way forever. When in actuality, whatever is happening right now may not even be happening tomorrow. Like, you do not need to be worrying about the whole future today. Your opinion can change tomorrow. It can change next week. It doesn't matter. Whatever you're feeling that day, go with what you're feeling. I feel like that's genuinely what makes people kind of upset and even just like hard on themselves, is you feel like you need to be the certain way all the time when you really don't. Being self-aware is probably like one of the most important things I think that people need to know. Not meaning like this person needs to stop talking when they should be talking. Like, no, not that. But being able to understand your own feelings and understanding what your needs are in your present moment and not in a logical way, that's honestly probably the biggest thing to reach like happiness and stop overthinking, is just understanding what you're feeling right now and how to fix that in the moment. Number 3 is realize nothing really is as bad as it seems. Whether that be anxiety about something happening in the future, like presenting, that's one of the things that I always hated, or like a job interview or things like that. Nothing really is as bad as it seems, because once you get there, 9 times out of 10, what were you worried about? Depression-wise, things in the past, you're here today. You survived. Yeah, you're having kind of this mental rut, but you're here. Like, you survived that toughest moment. The only way is up. Only way is up from here. Nothing really is that bad. Number 4 is ask yourself, will this matter in a week, a month, a year? Gauge it on importance. Like, if it really is something that is super important, that is when you should worry about it. But if it's something that, am I going to worry about this tomorrow? Like, no. Why am I putting the energy into worrying about it right now? Like I said, gauging it on importance. If it's something like super important, obviously don't push down your feelings. But if it's something like, oh, well, this person cut me off in line today. Is it really that big of a deal? Dad, if you're watching, is it really that big of a deal that this person cut you? Like, it's really not that big of a deal. Side note, just things that are people are out to get you kind of thing. I saw this one TikTok. I'll put it right here.
People are just walking in front of it like we're not recording.
It happens. People are people. None of it's intentional. Never attribute to malice what can be attributed to incompetence. It's far more likely that they're all in their own worlds, doing their own thing. They're not paying attention to the world around them. And we all do it every day, whether you're driving, walking down the street. All of our lives are just as complex as everybody else's. Everything you have going on, they have going on. Nobody knows what everybody else is going through. We all just need to be a little more self-aware and aware of the world around us.
Are you real?
I try to be.
Are you an AI?
No, not at all.
It said something about don't attribute incompetence to malice, and that's something that I've also really wanted to implement into my life is no one really is out to get you. That moves on to number 5 is no one's out to get you. The world is so big and you are so small, not meaning it in a mean way because you are your own special person. The world is so big that no one really cares about your life. No one really cares about what you're doing, whether that be someone cutting you off in line and people will think, why did this person do this? Why do they think they can do this to me? Blah, blah, blah. No one cares about you. No one thinks that much into it. They probably just didn't realize what they were doing. Incompetence, not malice. They just did not realize they're just being stupid. Don't blame them for being stupid. That's their problem. Anxiety of like going to the gym. When I first started going to the gym, I always used to worry, oh my God, I don't want people to look at me. Like people are going to see that I'm going blah, blah, blah. Like no one really gives a fuck. Most people are literally just looking at themselves in the mirror. People, if anything, are making sure that they don't look stupid themselves. So the thing that I'm telling you right now is no one cares. Like really no one cares. Number 6 is time heals all. Even though that sounds so cheesy and this is more of a depression thing, I would kind of say, is time heals all. Yeah, it's easy to dwell on things, but just realize that like it's not going to be like this forever. Even just like also anxiety too, like and overthinking. You get to a point where you do stop thinking about these certain things, and whether it take a long time or a few weeks or whatever, it does get better, whether that be naturally or you really did something to fix it. It does get better. Your mindset changes. The beautiful thing about life is it always changes. It's always changing. And as cringy as it sounds, even though it doesn't feel like it does get better. I know that in the moment when you do have these such strong, intense feelings, it feels like this is what it is going to be for the rest of your life. Like I said before, take it one day at a time. And I genuinely think that's kind of how I've been coping with certain things that have happened within the past couple months. I've taken it as I'm taking it one day at a time, because when I went through things in high school, if I felt happy that day, I was like, okay, I'm happy now. Like I'm happy forever. And then the next day I was like, wait, I'm like really sad. Why am I sad? Like I was literally just happy yesterday. You will not notice this change in a day. You will notice it when you're over it. What I'm saying is something this important and this prevalent in your life, like a thought, I would say doesn't really just like vanish out of your head. It slowly kind of disappears. At least for me, that's what's happened. It slowly started coming out of my head, and then it wasn't until I was like, whoa, like I haven't thought about that in a while. And then you look back on yourself and you're like, wow, I really kind of overcame something that I never really thought that I would ever go overcome, or some mindset that I never thought that I would get out of. And it's really rewarding. So it takes time. Keep pushing through. It will get better. The best thing about it is the reward afterwards. The reward afterwards is realizing that you are capable of overcoming something that was so huge in your brain and overtook your life. Although I'm sitting here and telling you guys all these things, experience really is the best teacher. And I know our parents used to say that. I used to be like, oh, parents, like, shut up. Like, I get it. Like, experience is the best teacher or whatever. But Really, it is. I know probably some of you guys have given your friends advice on a boy or on something, and they're agreeing with you, and you genuinely know that this is what's best for them. And they're like, yeah, I understand. Like, I know that's what's best for me. But then they go back to doing whatever they were doing. You can't get mad at them because they needed to experience that themselves to realize, I'm not going down that route again. Like, I know damn well that's happened to me. And I know that people that love me were looking at me like, what the fuck is this girl doing? It wasn't until I stepped out and realized maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Like I said, time heals all. Be patient. It'll all be okay. The 7th thing is this breathing technique. And I learned this breathing technique from my therapist. Before every session we have, we do this breathing technique. I don't know what it's called, but you breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. You breathe in and hold it for a few seconds, and then you breathe out. And I've realized when my anxiety kind of starts to become physical, I start to have heart palpitations, or I start getting nauseous. I feel like my stomach tightening, and it just starts to become a body kind of anxiety rather than just me overthinking. Just like that physical anxiety or sadness feeling, like when it starts to just come down. And I've noticed that it really just like calms down my muscles, and obviously that's probably what it's meant for, but it really gets oxygen to your brain, to your muscles, to your head. It makes you focus on something else rather than what you're thinking. So when you're breathing, you just think of yourself breathing in, think of yourself breathing out, which myself sometimes it's kind of hard because my ADHD makes me get into other thoughts while I'm also breathing. If that does happen and you have ADHD too, think of serene things and think of calm things. Like, you can put your mind to something else. Like, I know you can do it. Your brain is strong. You got it. Okay, I have been sitting here filming this video longer than I was expecting it to. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this kind of sit down chat advice video. Let me know if you guys want to hear more of these down below. I do have a few ideas and topics that I kind of want to talk about, but if you guys have anything specific in mind, feel free to comment that down below. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and want me to continue the series, and subscribe so you know when I do post more of these car diary series of me just sitting in the car, chit-chatting, giving some life advice and everything that I experienced in my life. So I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.